And joining me here in the studio to continue the conversation is Lieutenant Colonel Reserves Jonathan Conricus, former international spokesman for the IDF. Thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you for having me.
To continue the conversation, are we likely to see a difference in PA leadership, even with Abbas at the helm, now that we have a new, more far-right government coming into play in Israel?
Very difficult to know, but the latest leaked recording definitely ups the ante and adds a few clicks on the temperature, elevates the risks for many people involved. Personally, I don't see that happening because the Palestinian Authority, Mahmoud Abbas, has still loyal paramilitary forces that control the most important parts of the Palestinian Authority, Ramallah and the surroundings. I don't think that's very likely, but I do think, just like what was reported, that many pieces are in place, just waiting for something to happen, and there will be many wannabe leaders, Palestinian leaders, vying for power as soon as something significant changes.
Speaking of those pieces in place, that's what I wanted to ask you. Yasser Arafat also stood behind what was called controlled chaos, being able to determine the scene. In particular, during the second Intifada, Abbas is, in a sense, his successor. Are we seeing something similar? And is the army ready to attend to any scenario that comes their way?
I think Mahmoud Abbas is definitely behind the scenes, and I think he probably hopes to reap benefits from the current ongoing violence. He definitely is leveraging it in international media. He's definitely trying to leverage it to criticize Israel in the international legal forums, etc. And the violence is part of that strategy. So the violence is definitely part of what Mahmoud Abbas is trying to promote. The fact that this was exposed should actually, I think this should be more of a wake-up call for Israeli decision makers as to who are we dealing with on the other side, what is their real agenda, and how should we, Israel, the defense establishment, but also diplomatically, address the Palestinian Authority once things like this are exposed. To answer your question about readiness, the IDF, the ISA, Shabak, and the police are deeply rooted in Judea and Samaria, have a very good understanding of what's going on, have excellent intelligence, and have enough forces to be prepared. But I think that it is within Israeli interest to try to maintain stability through a succession and to make sure that we don't find ourselves in a scenario of Hamas or the Islamic Jihad rising to power at our doorstep in Judea and Samaria.
Absolutely, and with the questions of a likely successor, because at some point there is going to be a successor, comes whether or not there's going to be increased coordination between Palestinian Islamic Jihad operatives in the Gaza Strip. I want to move a little bit outside of that. And we saw tonight reports that King Abdullah II of Jordan is now saying to Israel, don't cross any red lines with this new government when it comes to the Temple Mount. Are we worried about this? Are we expecting some kind of a flashpoint there in the near future?
I'm sure that many of our enemies will be looking at what the incoming government will do and perhaps try to use words or actions as a pretext for calling it crossing red lines. I'm also confident that the incoming government will be careful. They are aware that it is a very combustible situation, and that,
to put it lightly,
that caution and cool heads and rational thinking is what is needed. And I think that the incoming Minister of Defense, Prime Minister, the head of the National Security Council, and of course the IDF, there's lots of people with lots of experience and cool heads, and I hope that they will prevail and that the government won't be taken to extremes by different elements in the new government.
Seems like a fortune of moving parts. And just briefly, before we let you go, are you, from a personal point of view, happy about some of the ministerial positions that we're likely to swear in tomorrow?
I'm happy that at the core ministries, we have people that, in my humble opinion, are fit for the job. As an Israeli citizen, I am appalled by the number of ministers. I am appalled by the grotesque work solutions that they've found with two ministers from the same party in the same ministry, which I think is ridiculous. But I think that in security and a few other locations, there are good, seasoned professionals, and I hope that the ones that are new will have a fast and meaningful learning experience, because Israel depends on it and we need them to succeed.